Hi everyone, my name is Tanvie Hans. I am a professional footballer and an entrepreneur. Um, this is a major brag or a major flex. This is my fourth TED Talk in 6 years. And stay with me. The only reason I'm saying this is because it's relevant to today's topic, which is that change is the only constant. What I spoke about in the very first TED Talk that I did in 2016 has changed a lot today because obviously a lot of elements have changed. We've all gone through a pandemic. A lot of things have evolved. So I'm going to go from the first TED Talk to the second one to the third one and how my present story is from what I thought it would be back then. Speaking about the 2016 TED Talk, I had just returned from England. I'm basically from Delhi. My footballing journey started in Delhi. And I went for a couple of years to England and gave trials and luckily got to play for some major teams like Tottenham and Fulham ladies. Whoever follows football may have heard of them. When I came back in 2016, I had all this energy, all this experience, and I wanted to play for India. The only thing is, my story is a little bit different, a little bit complicated because I'm Indian in every sense, but my citizenship is British. My mom is also fully Indian, my dad is also fully Indian, but my mom was born in England, so she got an English birth certificate. And as a minor, my parents chose that for my brother and myself just because it has a lot of benefits. Now, when I came back in 2016, I obviously had all this drive. I wanted to play for India, but the citizenship became a problem. India doesn't have a dual citizenship law, so the only way that I could represent India was to surrender my British citizenship to get an Indian one. And I did not bat an eyelid. I wanted to give up my British citizenship, and I wanted to play for India. A lot of people, my friends, family, everyone close to me, obviously tried to discourage me as much as they could, but I knew that this is something I wanted to do. I was hell-bent about it, and following this 3 years, I attempted to give up my British citizenship to play for India. However, it is a complicated process, and it never actually happened. But what ended up happening instead was that the Indian Football Federation announced that now OCI card holders can represent the state. Not India, but can represent the state. So I went on then to play for Karnataka and captain the Karnataka state team, and I've been an integral part of the Karnataka Football Association since I've moved there, basically. So this is just to show you that, sure, I haven't played for India, but the story has evolved, and I'm now at least getting to play at state level and getting to play at national level and things like that. So yeah, there's been an evolution there for sure. The next one. I gave the next TED Talk in 2017 or 18, if I'm not wrong. And Sisters in Sweat. That is my community, Sisters in Sweat. It's a community exclusively for women, by women, stitched together by sport and wellness. This is something that fell into my lap, literally fell into my lap. It was a passion project. In 2017, I moved to Bangalore. Like I said, I'm from Delhi, but in 2017, once I had returned from England, in 2017, I moved to Bangalore because I felt the pulse of football was far better in Bangalore than it was in Delhi. And I just made the move. I knew one person there who became an integral part of my journey as well, Shweta over there in the Nike sports bra. So I knew her through Nike. I did a campaign with Nike, and she became my main contact in Bangalore. And one evening, I'm not a very social person. I don't like parties and crowds and things like that. But this one particular evening in 2017, she convinced me to go out for a party. And she introduced me to her friend, who was already a little bit drunk. She introduced me as a footballer. Hi, this is my friend Tanvie. She's a footballer. Now, Shweta's drunk friend immediately got excited and said that, hey, that's so cool, you're a footballer. Why don't you teach me and a few of my girlfriends how to play? And so Shweta and I looked at each other. We were like, should we take her seriously? Should we not? I don't know. But we booked a small 5-a-side ground that same weekend. And to our surprise, 17 women turned up for that session. And Shweta and I had designed this 1.5-hour session where the women just have a good time. They will learn the sport through, through some fun drills and things like that, and done and dusted. But they loved it so much that they came back to us and said, do this for us every weekend. And that's what we did. So it really started as a passion project. At the end of 2017, we did a session every week for a good year and a half. We had grown as a community to almost 200, 300 women. And that's when Shweta and I sat down and we said, listen, let's incorporate ourselves. Let's actually do something. There is a market here that is not being catered to. Women have stopped seeing sport as a social option, and we're giving that to them. So the reason why I'm talking about this, or I spoke about this particular story back then as well, was when I came back from India, the first question that anybody ever asked me was, why did you come back? The football scene in England is so much better. But the truth is, I am from India. I've come through the system here. I've experienced the system there. If there's anyone who can make a change, I feel I might be able to. So I came back to make a difference. And the way that Sisters in Sweat came about, it started making a difference in a way and at a level that I never would have foreseen. Some of the mothers, so the average age group, by the way, in our community is about mid-30s, early 30s. So some of them are mothers, some of them have nieces. So they're influential women in their little circle. And some of the women would come up to us and tell us the most powerful stories. They would tell us that their husbands have more respect for them. They would tell us that their son is watching them on a Sunday morning lace up and go out and play football, and it's just changing their world, one of the mothers, in fact, even told us his most powerful story, perhaps, is she used to bring her son to all of her football sessions with us, and she even brought her son to the stadium once when I was playing for the state team. And her son actually turned to her at one point and said, do boys even play football? Because he's growing up in a world where he's seeing only women and only girls play the sport. So what a different world to grow up in, what an impact that could have possibly had is beautiful, and that's just one story. So what started off as a passion project, in the second TED talk I did, I spoke about it to the extent of a passion project. But today it is a full-blown, I would say, even business. We have multiple verticals, multiple sports. We are now in Mumbai as well. We have over 3,700 members across India, and a lot of stories like this coming about. And like I said, making a difference at this level, I had never imagined, but it's happening. So just embracing the change, perhaps the elements around me, and it's working. Next one. The next TED talk I did was in 2020, pandemic. Obviously, all of us had to go virtual with anything that we needed to do. Now, I'm a professional footballer, and Sisters in Sweat had just about kicked off into a proper full-blown company, and then we had to go virtual. I'll speak first about Sisters in Sweat. We pivoted our entire model to online. So we obviously were known as a sporting community. To play a sport, you have to have a physical space where you're playing with other women. You have to have that. But we found a way to pivot our entire model and provide online offerings. Not necessarily sport-related, but just to keep the community that we had built to this point engaged. And we started doing virtual dance sessions regularly, yoga sessions, HIIT sessions. We threw in a few virtual football sessions that I handled, which was fun. We did a few laughter therapy sessions. We did art therapy sessions, whatever it took to keep the women engaged and positive through this time. It worked so well for us because the limitation that we had of being a physical, sport-based community was that we were limited to Bangalore. But the virtual space allowed us to reach women pan-India. And honestly, during the pandemic, we grew so much as a community. The memberships increased so much from across India. And it worked well for us. So that's what we did with Sisters in Sweat. Now me, as an athlete, as a footballer, a team sport where I need my teammates to train, what we did was we did some virtual online sessions, literally from our living room. And again, how it helped was things like team chemistry, things like, the tactical stuff we couldn't do because we didn't have access to each other physically, but what we could do was work on ourselves individually as players. So the 1-hour session that we did every day with the football team was literally in this much of space. And if anyone knows football at all, your ability on the ball and off the ball matters. Obviously, off the ball, we couldn't do much. There was a little bit of fitness that we added to the sessions, but our control on the ball, our sharpness on the ball increased because of the pandemic, because we got more time with the ball basically in a small space. So again, using the situation, the elements that were changing around us to our benefit, we actually became sharper footballers, individually at least. Finally, coming to today, when I said that I wanted to make a difference, I came back to make a difference. Sisters in Sweat happened, and I'm part of the Karnataka state team, the Karnataka State Football Association as well, and I'm making differences at all those levels. But more recently, I've also become a presenter. It's something I would never have imagined, but the Under-17 Women's World Cup happened in India recently. I hope some of you know. I don't think enough is published about this, but we hosted the Under-17 Women's World Cup a month or two ago. And for whatever reason, the channel that hosted it wanted me to present. And even though I didn't get to play for India, I got to really showcase their talent, the Under-17 girls. And it was wonderful. It was just another way in which I could contribute to the football ecosystem, because we don't have a lot of female hosts speaking specifically about a sport like football. So again, another opportunity that came to me, and I ran with it because I just want to make a difference in whatever level I can. So you might see me on TV, guys. Watch out. All right. Finally, I'm just going to peg it down to a couple of metaphors from football. The first one being that there are stages in an athlete's life. Okay, of course, you have to accept the stages that you go through. When you're in your teens, your early 20s, you have this energy, you have this physicality, you want to prove yourself, you have speed, you have stamina, you have all these things that work for you and make you a huge asset for whichever football team you play for. When you grow older, I'm 32, so obviously there has been a difference. Luckily, I've worked hard enough on my physical ability, so the physical prowess is more or less still there. But today, what I do have, and the way that I can contribute to a football team, is through experience. I have experience with me now. I have creativity with me now. I can play multiple positions because I've played for so long under so many different coaches and managements and teams. So that's the way I can help my team win differently than I probably could have 10 years ago. Speaking about maps, there's something known as a map on the field, and that changes every millisecond. Every millisecond, the players are moving, so the map on the ground keeps looking different. The spaces on the ground keeps looking different. So this one's an interesting metaphor, which I thought about. When I have the ball at my foot, I need to be able to read the map in that instant, and I need to be able to deliver the ball to my teammate, not based on the map I saw a second ago or the present second, but the map that I foresee 2 seconds from now, because the ball will take time to travel to the player as well. So for me to be able to read that ahead so that it is able to produce a moment where we are able to create a goal-scoring opportunity, that's important. To understand the change that's happening on the field, to be able to read it, and then to be able to actually deliver a moment which might actually lead to the success of the team. That's important. I really thought this metaphor is pretty fitting today, because if there's anything that I'd like you guys to take away from my talk, it's just that a lot of things do stay the same, but we have to be able to read the elements around us that are changing. And that does mean that a lot within us needs to change. You have to endure, embrace the changes around you, and change in a way within you so that you're able to see things through a positive light, So you're able to co-create with the moments outside of you, or the elements outside of you, opportunities and moments that actually serve the overall objective you already had. It may look different from what you thought 6 years ago. I know today I'm standing doing things I never would have thought I'd be doing, but I know that I'm affecting the ecosystem of football, and that's what I wanted to do. I'm doing it differently, but I'm doing it. And that's the only thing I'd say to you, that a lot does stay the same. Things do change, of course they change, but a lot does stay the same. What I said in my very first TED talk, I'm going to say again today, is that there is more in your control than you think. And if you're able to understand that and really, really change accordingly within yourself, you'd actually be able to produce moments and produce opportunities for yourself and affect the changing elements around you and really be the change. Please know that you can do a lot within yourself to create the stuff around you as well. Thank you, guys. I hope this was helpful.